Hey guys, it's Coach Creighton here. Okay, I'm back from Fargo, and I have so many takeaways from Fargo. And the tournament was just, it's always amazing, but I always see it with fresh new eyes every time I go. And I wanted to talk a little bit about what really separates these guys at the higher level, right? Um, Obviously, they all have really good technique, they're all in great shape. The kids, the kids that are placing at this tournament, top 16, top 20 kids, top 24 kids, most of them have outstanding coaches. Okay, what I think separates them is their ability to make mental plans and stick to their mental plans. Right, these kids and athletes, these are the ones that actually practice during practice, right? And as coaches, as high school coaches, as developmental coaches, we can preach this till we're blue in the face. Some of them will get it, most of them will not get it, right? And what I mean by mental plans, it's a lot of things. Do you have a plan and a well-defined plan for what you're thinking, what you're doing, what you're eating pre-competition? Okay, right? Before the match starts. As Fargo comes closer, all the kids start thinking about the competition. Everybody's heart rate goes up, right? And the kids, they can think about it in a positive way, see themselves doing well with their visualization, keep their anxiety down, and control their heart rate with their breathing. Before the competition, they're getting practice. And I talk about this a lot. I said, you need to practice what you're gonna do in the actual match, right? You need to practice for real life competition during practice. So don't just go to practice and go through the motions. You need to practice when you're at practice. And so when I'm at practice, before I go to practice, you should be eating the right things. You should be visualizing what you're gonna do at practice. Maybe you have a task focus, which is maybe 2 or 3 things. I'm gonna keep my knees bent the whole practice. I'm gonna hand fight hard the entire practice, okay? I'm gonna stay laser beam focused and do exactly what the coaches are asking the entire practice today, okay? You don't wanna have too many, but you pick 1 or 2, maybe 3 that you're going into practice with. You're also focused on controlling yourself emotionally and maintaining a positive attitude during practice. That's really important during the matches, right? So when you're at practice, are you going through the motions, or are you doing your moves the way that you would execute them in a match? It doesn't mean you're always at 100% intensity, but for part of each skill, for part of each drill, there needs to be max intensity. There needs to be, this is real, right? You're making it real. And the more you can do that, right, and put yourself in that competitive state, the better you're gonna be. The easier it's gonna be to turn that on during matches. It is impossible to go through practice at 65, 75% and then be expected to perform when you have to go 100%, okay? So it's those emotional things that we're practicing, okay, during practice. Can you keep your heart rate down? Can you lower your heart rate between going out of bounds and coming back to the center? Those are things that you can practice during practice. When you get really tired, and see how quickly you can recover to get ready to go hard again in practice, right? And when you're focused on these things all the time, then it just takes you to a higher level than your opponents can even understand, right? It's like, think about this. If you're doing this and your opponents are not, how much better are you gonna be, okay? And you're using your teammates as competition as well, right? You're seeing if it works in practice versus your teammates. So this is stuff that has to be developed, and you have to spend a lot of time thinking about it. I was talking to another coach the other day and about this very thing, and the thing I come away with is most people are not motivated enough to do this. They're just not. They're not motivated enough to put this type of work in before every session, okay? Or to be this mindful about every session. So it really comes down to mindfulness, right? How are you in your stance? Where are your hands? Where are your feet? Where's your position? Are you thinking about this all the time? Are you doing it so much that it becomes subconscious? And so really you just start to recognize the position errors, and then you're mindful about fixing those, okay? Another thing I want to talk about is also extending your limits, right? If you don't extend your limits in practice on a regular basis, it's impossible to do it in hard matches under the gun. Okay, so you have to, it doesn't mean every single practice is the hardest thing in the world, but it does mean you need to learn how to challenge yourself and push yourself really hard and be okay with getting really tired and work through that tiredness, right? Because in big matches, if you want to win a championship, you're going to have to extend yourself at the most challenging part of each match, right? In order to get your hand raised. And so you need practice. You need practice doing that. If you don't practice it, you just won't have it. So those are some things that stick out to me, especially after watching Fargo. And I tell you what, the kids that were successful did these things. Whether they were as systematic about it as I'd like to be or as I'd like you to be, they're doing this stuff. They're visualizing, they're controlling their emotions, they're controlling their breathing, okay? They're staying positive, okay? They're executing at a high level during practice under a tired state and getting comfortable with that. So those are the things you need to do. Coaches, those are the things you need to push, okay? Any questions, hit me up on the comments. If you haven't subscribed, please subscribe. It helps the channel, motivates me. So work on it, okay? Oos.